All right, folks, welcome back to the TNT show. Today we got pretty much we're going to talk about some dynasties, and we're going to talk about some of these different head coaching changes that have happened over the past week or so. So we're going to go ahead and just jump right into it. Tyler, you said you got a question for me. Let's hear it.
Yeah, so I seen this. I seen a thing that was okay. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is at the top. So in the AFC, you have aside from Patrick Mahomes, you have Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow. That have to go through Patrick Mahomes. Who's going to do it first, or who's going to do it? Like, who's going to actually dethrone? I know Joe Burrow already done it, but who's going to win a Super Bowl? And
Um,
will they ever win one?
if I
Or
had to be
will they have to
realistic,
go to the NFC?
I'd probably say Joe Burrow because he's already done it once. The only thing that kept them from doing it again or having the opportunity to do it again was their defense this year. So yeah, that's who I go with.
Because those are probably the best four quarterbacks in the league, to be
And
honest.
as far as as
And
far
they're all
as
in the same division. So that's tough. Like, okay, if you're Joe Burrow, you have to beat Josh Allen. You have to beat Lamar and then turn around and beat Patrick Mahomes. Like that's going to be tough. Or vice versa. Lamar's going to have to beat Joe Burrow, beat Josh Allen, and then beat Patrick Mahomes. Like that's tough.
yeah, it's I mean that's the truth. It's the truth
But
of it
if
though.
you went to the NFC, it's not as they're getting there.
Mm,
But I just feel like with if one of those quarterbacks was on a very good team in the NFC, I think they'd make a run to the Super Bowl. Would they win? I don't know, but I think they'd get further in the NFC than they would the AFC.
I think that's pretty realistic. Yeah, I mean the NFC is. I feel like the NFC is more competitive because it's a lot. There's a lot of good teams in the NFC. In the
Yeah,
AFC,
because
you kind of
in
have
order for
like
you to get to the Super Bowl in the AFC, you've got to get through Patrick Mahomes, and that's just it is what it is.
yeah, you kind of know like okay, well this is who I'm gonna meet at the summit, and I got to beat him. So that's the toughest thing about the AFC. And the NFC, I mean, like I said, it's a toss up. Obviously, there's some clear, really good teams, but just because you're a clear, really good team in the AFC doesn't mean you're gonna make it
Yeah,
out of there.
yeah. So yeah, I was just curious to know. Do you see any of them guys leaving? If
Uh,
if you if you did, who would it be?
I think you could argue that either Lamar or Josh Allen could end up leaving. I mean, I don't really. I could
I
see
mean,
both of them.
obviously, Joe Burrow is the youngest out of these four. So
I could see. I can see Lamar and Josh Allen winning a Super Bowl with the team that drafted them. But at the same time, I could see them winning it with another team because at some point, like you said, someone's got to give. Like it's either you as our quarterback or it's the team around you.
yeah, yeah. I don't think there's going to be. I think you give it a couple more goes, and it's just like, okay, well, obviously he can't do it here. So you know, can he do it somewhere else? Probably. So we'll just, yeah. I don't know. I personally, I think, I think it'll be Lamar that'll leave. I agree with the Joe Burrow part, but I won't be biased because I'm going to be biased there. If I had to pick somebody other than him, I'd probably say Lamar. Better team, better team around him per se, and they've been there like recently. Buffalo hasn't. I mean, they won a Super Bowl. I know it's been 12 years, but I just feel like Baltimore has a slight edge.
I mean, they both play Patrick Mahomes and they
But as far as leaving, as far as leaving, Josh Allen. I mean, I don't really want to get started on him, but I mean, realistically, other than stats, what's he done? It's going to be hard to get rid of Lamar. 2-time MVP, possibly 3-time. We don't really know yet, but he's already a 2-time MVP. Yeah, he doesn't have a Super Bowl, but at the same time, you're battling three of the best quarterbacks in the league, in your division at least. Maybe not in the league. Yeah, you could argue the league however you want to argue it, but you're going up against MVP candidates. Three, two, you're competing against. You're one of the MVPs, and two other ones are in your division.
Yeah.
That's tough, dog. That's tough. Two of the other MVP frontrunners are in your division. One of them is in your conference with Joe Burrow. So, but it is what it is. But I can see them. I can see them not getting rid of, but moving off of Josh Allen because I mean, essentially, what's he done other than stats? Hadn't won an MVP, which he could this year.
Well,
Other than
I'm
that,
not. I'm not gonna hold that against him because if you think about it, he hasn't won an MVP because I mean you got to look at the other guys who've won the MVPs: Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes.
yeah, but still, you know, um, I don't know, but yeah, I could just see um Josh Allen getting moved first. So as far as the dynasty goes, let's start with that. Let's start with the dynasty portion. So we talked, and realistically, there's really only two big ones anyway. That okay. Before anybody goes in here and says anything crazy, we're talking about dynasties that we have seen. Okay, no disrespect to the Steelers or the Raiders or anything like that. So obviously, the big one is the Patriots, and then the second one is the Chiefs. So,
True.
um, but if the Chiefs three-peat, yeah, you might have to argue that they take that spot. To be honest.
Yeah, I mean it's for me. It's kind of I guess how it's done and the longevity of it. Because if you look at the Patriots dynasty, right? They won those three early on in like the earlier 2000s, and they went on like a 10-year hiatus, and they came back and had another run in like the 20, and then Tom Brady left, and now they're in purgatory. So, um, that's kind of how you look at their run. It was a long, basically, you could say 10+ year run where they got 6 Super Bowls. Tom Brady won a few MVPs. Um, I mean, it's compared to a lot of other teams. I mean, that run is kind of unprecedented. You got 6 Super Bowls. You went to 10 Super Bowls. For the Chiefs, they have an opportunity to make history and three-peat, which is cool, but I treat that the same conversation as I treat Patrick Mahomes versus Tom Brady. Because, yeah, they would three-peat, but they've been to how many Super Bowls up to this point? 4 or 5, I think, now. So
Yeah.
it really more so the conversation for them is what happens after this. Can they continue to keep this up? Realistically, you could say yes. And you could say they could end up going to 10 or 11 Super Bowls and winning 8 or 9. But I think it's right now, they're still a strong two. But if they three-peat, I think it does nudge the meter a little bit more towards them because they kind of have the momentum right now to continue to build on these Super Bowl runs.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like we said a while ago. I mean, it's kind of like we touched on earlier. We talked offset, you know. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from Patrick Mahomes, but the kind of level of competition just really isn't as strong as it was when Tom Brady was playing.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, there was a reason Tom Brady had a 10-year hiatus in between his third Super Bowl and his fourth Super Bowl because the competition level was there. A
I mean,
lot of
yeah,
teams got better.
You got Hall of Famers that are fixing to go into the Hall of Fame that if they're not already in there. So
Yeah,
you
I
know,
mean,
aside from Tom Brady and Joe Burrow, them are the only two quarterbacks that have beat him. To be honest,
yeah,
so I mean, he didn't make. Yeah, I mean, the only reason he doesn't have more rings is because he got beat twice.
yep.
So, but as
Well,
far as the dynasty portion goes, I mean, like I said, if they three-peat, it's gonna be a strong argument. I mean, from a short without the longevity standpoint, you know,
yeah,
can they build a dynasty for 20 years? You know, I don't know because you know Andy Reid's older, Travis Kelsey's obviously older. You know, they're gonna lose some key pieces in the next couple of years, if not this year, if they win. So you know they I'm sure they have some. I'm pretty sure that they probably have some candidates for when Andy Reid decides to step down. I'm pretty sure that they probably have a good idea of what direction they want to go in. I would guess. I don't know. That's a great question. Who do you think they should go with?
well, I mean, that'd
I
be
didn't
hard
really
to
think
say.
about that.
I'm
You
pretty
know,
sure they
that's
already kind of have they got a list going. I'm sure.
I would say so. I mean, boy, them are big shoes to fill because
Yeah,
if you come in and you suck, boy, that I mean, that's a dynasty. I mean, look at the Patriots. The Patriots are a prime example. That
nah,
Tom
no,
Brady moved off, and Bill
that was a
Belichick they split. They went in a different direction. They split ways, and now
that was
look
a
at them.
setup. They set my
So,
boy Gerard Mayo up.
well, the dynasty's over. You know, they've had a roller coaster at quarterback ever since Tom Brady left. Which, okay, that's understandable. He's the greatest quarterback of all time. You know, you're never going to replicate that. Patrick Mahomes is doing everything he can to try it, but
Yeah,
we'll never see another quarterback like that unless Patrick Mahomes does it, obviously. But
honestly, I think it's a hard conversation to have right now because, like you said, their dynasty is a little younger compared to the Patriots. The Patriots are kind of submitted in the conversation because they had the run for however long it was. Like for the Chiefs, we're in the midst of their dynasty right now, so we don't know how long it will last.
yeah,
Obviously, we have it because it's anybody can debate anything at any point, but realistically, that situation we could probably revisit in like the next 10 years.
yeah. I mean, it's um, yeah. I mean, it's like I said, it's tough to think about, and it's hard to talk about because people say Peyton Manning, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees. All these people are great, but in a sense, you got to start looking at these younger quarterbacks. You got Lamar, you got Patrick Mahomes. I mean, you got all these rookies that are coming up, all these young guys. Josh Allen, you could throw him in there if you want to. I mean, he ain't really done nothing but stats, but I mean, it's happening. Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, the stats are there. It's kind of it's the older guys. I wouldn't say are fading, but it's they got replaced per se. Some guys haven't, some guys have. I mean, the
Yeah,
Bills haven't had a good quarterback since I couldn't even tell you.
yes, like you said, I mean it's a new era of football in the NFL. All of the legends are pretty much gone. Now you have, like you said, you name all the guys. I mean, everybody else is trying to make a name for themselves and be the franchise guy. So
Yeah, I mean, it's a different era of football too. Obviously, we're seeing scores in the 40s and the 50s. Back then, if you scored 20 plus, you were winning games. Like you didn't really see a whole lot of high scoring games.
yeah, that's true.
Um, but yeah, as far as like I said, we're not talking about the dynasties from the 70s because obviously we weren't even born yet. So if who out of take them two out of the equation, who could you see building the dynasties now? Like who could you see, kind of taking that step?
I don't know, see, because that's hard to say. I mean, obviously, like I said, we're in the midst of the Chiefs dynasty right now. So as far as maybe the Lions, but they just lost their whole coaching staff. So if they can,
I'd say the
reload on
Eagles,
them,
to be honest.
well, yeah. I
Maybe
mean, the
they
Eagles
got to get some
technically
things figured out, but
they've been to
I
a couple
mean,
Super Bowls here in the last 5 years. So yeah, I think
I
that
said
probably be
they've
one
been
of
to
them.
two. They've been to two recent, so I would say them. And if the 49ers can stay healthy and possibly either figure out the whole Brock Purdy thing or whether they're going to move on from him or whatever the case may be, I think they could be pretty decent, but they're kind of an older team as well.
Yeah, I mean, again, another team that's been to the Super Bowl in the past 5 years. So realistically, yeah, they could be one of those teams. But it's it's sustainability. How do you keep the run going? 'Cause obviously, the 49ers were pretty hurt this year, so they really didn't have a chance to make that run like that.
Yeah. So, um, yeah, it's too early to tell as far as some of these rookies because you don't know. But in
Commanders
order
are a
for
dark horse.
aside from the Chiefs three-peating, I mean, they'd have to have the dynasty for 20 years. Like the longevity's got to be there. Winning right now, yeah, they'd be the greatest dynasty like and that we have seen other than the Patriots, It's been
Honestly, though,
such a short time frame that you have to kind of argue. But like I said, Andy Reid's old. What happens after that? Can they continue to be on top of the mountain without arguably one of the greatest coaches in NFL with him and one of the greatest tight ends to ever play with Travis Kelsey? Like, where do they go from there? Because
see, it's
realistically,
that part. It's that part.
in Tom Brady's prime, he had Gronk for pretty much he had Gronk pretty much the rest of his career on the back end.
Yeah,
So, Patrick Mahomes kind of came in with Travis Kelsey in his prime. So, he's didn't really do much this year, to be honest. You could argue that, whatever the case may be, maybe they were just trying to save him or, not, maybe he was hurt. We just don't know or whatever. We don't know.
it don't matter
But
now. They have the Super Bowl.
yeah, they're in the Super Bowl. So obviously that didn't matter. I guess it doesn't matter who you put on their team because, like I said, I didn't even know DeAndre Hopkins was on their team. Had no idea. I forgot all about him. And they showed him doing a press conference like they won the Super Bowl, like he was the MVP. Dog, I forgot you even were on their team.
Yeah, I mean, like I said,
It's the part,
sustainability.
it's the thing that he can make it work with anybody. Kind of like Tom Brady did for some of those years,
Yeah, but I
especially
mean,
on the back half because they didn't have nothing.
it's all about what happens after. It's what happens after Andy Reid retires. What happens when Travis Kelsey is gone? Can you bring in, you know, can you either hire a coach who you feel like is going to be able to sustain your dynasty, Or are you going to hire a coach who's already proven? Are you going to go out and bring in a proven tight end? Or are you going to go through the draft and just, because the Chiefs are a great organization when it comes to drafting. So they could just draft their
I'm
next
about to say
great tight end.
they have pretty. Noah Gray is not terrible. Is he Travis Kelce? No, but he's not
I,
bad.
I guarantee you there's tight ends in college right now that are 10 times better than him now. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Oh well, I
They
mean, yeah,
probably
but
they probably look to either go through the draft or get somebody proven. Because like I said, it's all about sustaining this dynasty now. And they're doing that. They're going for a three-peat, but it's everything after that too. Because if they do three-peat, then we're chasing even more history because we can win 4 in a row and go to what 4 Super Bowl in a row.
yeah, it'd be 4 in a row.
So
But
yeah,
they can always trade for somebody too.
yeah, that's true. Like I said, I think at the end of the day, I think when it's all said and done, I think they can be one of the greatest dynasties in NFL history. But it's all about the what ifs, like I just talked about. It's all about the what ifs and how they handle the what ifs.
Yeah. Um. Next topic is the coaches.
The coaching
Um.
carousel.
The thing I don't like is them reaching out before the season's over. Like the Lions, they still the where'd he go? My mind just went blank. Where'd he go? Where the Bears?
Yeah, Ben Johnson
Ben
to the
Johnson went
Bears.
to the Bears. They interviewed him before their game. Like what? Why would you even go? I mean, I guess I get it, but you know, your team's in the playoffs. Why are you worried about going to? Why are you worried about that? I'm worried about winning
Exactly.
the Super Bowl. So obviously he didn't care about the Lions organization. I mean, that's just slice it however you want to. But that's exactly. I mean, if he cared about your organization, he wouldn't have lent. He would. I mean, I guess it's easy for me to say, but you have a chance to make a Super Bowl run, and your offensive coordinator is out. Applying for head coaching jobs in your season, which it's like applying for a job. But I think once you get in the playoffs, you're off limits. Like you're locked.
I agree. If you're in the playoffs, there should be nobody that's reaching out to your coaches. I mean, your main focus right now is the playoffs, trying to make that Super Bowl run. So we gotta anything that isn't about that, we shouldn't be talked about or be a conversation.
I mean, I get you want to be a head coach. I understand. Hey, I want you to be a head coach too. But we got a Super Bowl to go win. You
Yep,
know, you're already the head coach of the Bears. What's it matter if you win a Super Bowl? I mean, you're already the coach of the Bears, so obviously it doesn't matter. You're thinking about you got to start thinking about the Bears organization and what you're going to do to help them get to where you're sitting right now.
exactly.
So, I don't know. I just think that they should be locked. That's you hate to see that because you don't know where his mind was at. I'm sure they offered it to him, and they were like, "Look, hey, if y'all don't make it, you're already going to be our coach. Nothing changes whether you win or lose." So, what does that do to the players too? Well, I mean, what are we playing for? I mean, our offensive coordinator's leaving. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, that'd probably be a good change. Just make it to where the coordinators and coaches, whatever, aren't able to be contacted if they're in the playoffs. Save that for
Off
if
season. What's a couple more weeks going to hurt?
yeah, because realistically, that team could either win or lose in the playoffs anyway. So as soon as they lose, just talk to them.
Yeah, like I don't know. You kind of see that in college that college coordinators will interview for positions, and then what happens every time that happens? That team usually gets beat because you could argue that he just doesn't care, or
Yeah. Ohio State's defensive coordinator, he interviewed for the Penn State defensive coordinator position during the championship parade.
yeah, that's crazy. You just won the championship, and now you left Ohio State to go to Penn State. Why?
But
Why?
I mean,
They
they
must
gave him.
they
It
must
was
have
the
paid
money.
him a bag.
It was the money. It was definitely the money.
But speaking of the coaches, there've been we've seen quite a bit. The worst one was the Cowboys hiring um Schottenheimer. I don't understand. I don't know what they're doing.
The Cowboys are just doing what Jerry Jones wants them to do. They had
Right.
opportunities to go after Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, Mike Vrabel. There's plenty of
Anybody
coaches out there, and you go and hire the guy who
can't even
hasn't
run your
really
offense.
he hasn't proven anything.
Yeah. You hired your offensive coordinator. What? You might as well have kept Mike McCarthy.
I just it the Cowboys are just in shambles.
Yeah. I think they had their eyes set on Dion, and it didn't work, and it didn't happen. So they just were like, you know what? We'll just go here.
Now, out of all the head coaches who were hired, who do you think will have the best opportunity?
Like, what do you mean? Like who's going to have the best season?
Yeah, season, playoffs, whatever.
I'm probably going to go Ben Johnson. I feel like he probably has the highest ceiling with
Yeah,
Caleb Williams and the Bears.
they
I
have a
mean, obviously on paper they have a really good team. Now, whether or not Caleb Williams can produce, we don't know.
that
But
is
he looked really good them first 4 weeks, but then after that, I don't know what happened.
yeah. I mean that's gonna be the real question for the Bears is you got a head coach now who's very offensive minded. Can Caleb Williams produce?
I'd probably
That'll be
say
the
him
biggest
just
question.
because of the talent that is there.
Yes,
Obviously you could argue that the Cowboys have Dak, and we all jokes aside, he's a pretty good regular season quarterback as long as he's healthy. He's probably going to throw for 34,000 yards, blah blah blah, get blown out in the playoffs, whatever.
yeah,
But there's still some teams. You could probably say Mike Vrabel, but it's the Patriots. I don't know. They have a lot of stuff, a lot of shoes to fill, a lot of places to fill. So I think they'll be pretty decent, but they'll just have to give them time and build around Drake May. I mean, they got to get him some weapons. So if you're not going to build around him, it doesn't matter what coach you are. But I'd probably say Ben Johnson. I mean, look at what he did with the Lions. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not saying the Lions have nowhere near as good as a team. I'm sorry. I'm not saying the Bears have nowhere near as good as a team as the Lions, but you could kind of argue that it's kind of the same. DJ Moore is a good wide receiver one. You got Keenan Allen, and you got Roma Dunze. You got DeAndre Swift. You got a pretty solid tight end.
Okay.
It's there. It's there. Your offensive line kind of sucked, but you can fix that. I think you can fix that.
Should be able to.
Defense is pretty. It's okay. It's all right. It's not the worst in the NFL, but it's not the best and it's not the worst. I'd say they're probably like middle of the pack.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd probably say Ben Johnson. Now, if Caleb Williams comes out and struggles this year, boy, you better line up Chicago and send them to Berlin or something. I don't know, because he came in, took you traded or you got rid of Justin Fields to bring in Caleb Williams, and he was supposed to be the savior going to the Super Bowl, and he only won 4 games. So,
Mm, yeah.
you know, take it how you want to. I bet I'm not a Bears fan, I don't know any, but I would love to talk to a Bears fan, just hear like, are you scared? Like, a lot of people are probably gonna say, nah, he's just a rookie, but he looked really bad. And you could put some of that on the offensive line, but
Majority.
but also they fired their coach. That's the
It's a
thing though. That's the thing though. If they're just gonna have a coach roller coaster, carousel, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't matter who your quarterback is. Caleb
yeah,
Williams could be really good, but we don't know because you fire your coach every year.
exactly.
Mitch Trubisky, all jokes aside, had a few kind of promising years, but they went through coaches, and then he kind of fell off.
Yep.
So I don't know. I think I think if Caleb Williams has a bad year this year, if I wouldn't say panic, but
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You panic. What are you talking about?
I don't think you panic.
Oh, yeah. Yes, you do. You absolutely panic because
Who's their backup? Who's their backup? Do you know? Like right off the top of your head, 'cause I don't. My mind's
honestly,
blank.
I
I
don't.
don't
But
know.
regardless of who the backup is, if he struggles next season, you definitely have to panic because you got what necessary. Well, you have what essentially is an upgrade at a coach, and obviously, it all depends on if they make the right moves this offseason,
Yep.
and if I think everything just has to fall into place for them. In all honesty,
Yeah. I feel like trying to see who their backup quarterback is.
but no, that's how
It's
I.
in Badgett, whoever that is.
Nah, he's all right.
So,
He's a
in
backup.
a sense, you could go the way the Panthers went. You could bench him and see what that does. He had a lot of hype, a lot of it. So, maybe he needs a reality check. Man, this ain't college no more.
I
But
don't
if he
think I'm.
struggles, I don't know. You got to try it. I
I
mean, look, they benched
what?
Bryce Young, and I'm not saying that he came in and was a superstar, but something switched
Oh,
because
well, you do got a point.
he actually looked pretty decent.
You got a good point. You got a good point.
I mean,
That
they
could
benched him for Andy Dalton, and he came in. Yeah, did they win games? No, but did he look 100 times better? Yeah.
that could be a good thing to do.
Maybe it woke him up. Hey man, we'll trade you, we'll cut you, whatever, and you'll be flipping burgers at Burger King, man. Like you got to get this figured out. We traded some really good players for you, and you suck.
Yeah.
So vice versa for Caleb Williams. Look, we traded away Justin Fields because we thought you were the one. You suck. So, but yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
Uh yeah, that's pretty much all I have too. Just for this little rant for today. Um
Yeah, going forward, these are probably going to be the episodes. So let us know how you like this. If it's if we're being all over the place or whatever the case may be. Just let us know if y'all like this kind of stuff. Because if you do, we'll keep it going. If not, we'll kind of
switch it up.
scratch. We'll scratch some stuff and kind of go from there.
Yep. But that pretty much does it for us on this one, and we'll catch you on the next episode.